Like it took maybe longer than expected, but both sides come out winners here. How did it finally come together?
Well, the marketplace was really devoid of salary cap space for a team to give Capela an offer sheet he would have needed to take back to Houston and have them match. And so the deal that they agreed to today is largely the deal that Houston was offering at the start of free agency. But for Capela, at 24 years old, he'll be able to get back into free agency again before he's 30 years old. And, it's a risk for a player like him, at a young age to, sign the $4 million qualifying offer to become unrestricted next year. He could get injured. A lot of things can happen. So, $90 million for him and a chance to get back into free agency while he's still in his prime.
Okay, so they keep Capela. They lost Ariza. They re-signed, of course, Chris Paul. What about Carmelo Anthony? Because it sounds like the plan is still for Melo to end up with Houston. Technically, he's still a member of the Atlanta Hawks, right? So how and when will he end up in Houston?
Well, trades that happen during the summer typically take longer to be processed because the players aren't all in that city. They've got to pass physicals. You've got a 3-team trade with players moving around. So everybody has to get into their next city, pass their physical. And the only thing left here is for Carmelo Anthony and his agent to formally tell Houston that they are going to sign. But it's imminent. It's coming.
We just saw a video of him visiting Team USA practices in Las Vegas today. Here's the thing that's interesting to me. We all know this will be round 2 between Carmelo Anthony and Mike D'Antoni. The last time, Knicks 2012 was the last season. That didn't go so well. It didn't work, right? So why does anybody think it's going to work this time, Adrian?
Well, D'Antoni and Carmelo Anthony sat down and talked in Vegas at Summer League. Oklahoma City gave them permission. And D'Antoni said to him, listen, we're both at different points in our career, and I'm going to be looking for something different from you here than in New York. And both of them certainly want to win. But it's the relationship between Carmelo Anthony and Chris Paul that gives everyone there hope that this can be different than even what happened in Oklahoma City, because the role they're going to ask of Melo in Houston is not much different than Oklahoma City. The biggest difference will be his closeness with Chris Paul. There will be a lot on those two to get.
$3 million this next season. The Houston Rockets gave Chris Paul a huge deal earlier this month. Today, did the same restricted free agent Clint Capela. League sources tell our Adrian Wojnarowski that it's a 5-year deal worth $90 million. Capela was a huge part of Houston's run to Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals against the Warriors, setting career highs in points, boards, blocks per game while shooting a league best 65% from the field. Brian Windhorst joins me now from Team USA practices in Las Vegas, where they have ended. How about this, though? Someone who's not a member of the team made an appearance, Carmelo Anthony. Brian, why was Melo there?
Yeah, technically not yet a member of the team, but certainly acting like he's soon going to be a Houston Rocket. Came here to see potential new teammates, James Harden and Eric Gordon, take part in the workouts today. Also spent some time with now former teammate Russell Westbrook. And, I talked to some guys who are around the Rockets, and they're pretty excited about getting Carmelo into the fold. And Melo wanting to take a step. He's been a longtime member of Team USA. He doesn't need to come by here to prove anything, but obviously made it a priority to come and have some dialogue with his potential new teammates.
And it sounds like that's going to happen. But Brian, the Melo-Mike D'Antoni experiment, we know it failed miserably 6 years ago with the Knicks. And Melo, he shows no signs of changing the fact that he's not okay coming off the bench. So that said, among other things, why does anybody think it can work this time?
Well, Melo didn't speak to the media today, but I spent some time talking to Jim Boeheim, his coach at Syracuse, who is still very much in touch with him. And he said he and Melo have talked, and one of the things that the Rockets pitched to him was, hey, trust in what Mike D'Antoni can do. He's made a lot of players better. He's found the strengths and figured out how to make them good players. Trust Chris Paul, who's one of the guys who gets the most out of any player in the league. And he said, look, and I know this is what people have said before, but this is something that Melo is now thinking about, is go back to being Olympic Melo, which is a role player who can come in and be a sniper off the bench or in a starting role, score points in a limited role. And I really do think, even though that's something Melo has not talked about in the past, that's part of what Chris Paul, James Harden, and Mike D'Antoni have sold him on in becoming a Houston Rocket.
I cannot wait to see how his role does play out there in Houston. Brian, you mentioned yesterday how impressed you were with Paul George, and that continued today as he works his way back from arthroscopic knee surgery that he had in May. Here's what Paul said about that.
Well, I think this step, me being in camp, I originally wasn't supposed to do a lot of contact, but I wanted to see where I was at. and I wanted to push myself. But, you know, I was mindful if anything hurt, if anything popped up, that I was going to sit out and take my time. But everything felt great enough to be out there and compete and play. And, it was just about trying to push and gain some trust. It's my first time doing anything live. So a lot of it was trying to knock off some rust and get back into like a basketball flow.
Brian, I know you've been watching Paul George closely. What's your take?
He was even more impressive today, Sage. Stayed after the workout and played one-on-one games with guys like Kevin Durant and Victor Oladipo, and they were intense. I know he says he's not 100%, but he was going full bore, and especially for a guy who just signed a huge new contract who you wouldn't think would push himself, Paul George looks very, very good, and I think very good sign for Thunder fans come the fall.
Interesting. You say he and Oladipo going at it hard, huh?
Yes, your favorite Pacer, two guys who were traded for each other last summer. No hard feelings, going full bore. Oladipo was diving on the floor during scrimmages today. He doesn't take it easy either.
Typical Oladipo. That's the way we like to see it. Brian Windhorst, thank you so much. Glad you enjoyed your time.
Rangers leading 11-1 in the ninth.
Pay the man $90 million for Clint Capela, 5 more years with the Rockets. He started a career-high 74 games last season, helped the Rockets push the Warriors 13.9 points per game and 2 blocks a game, just under. He's that kind of player.
Oh, you're 90? This y'all just telling me this. I didn't even know. I got to call him, but I'm happy for him, man. It's an opportunity for him. Obviously, we love the game of basketball, but to be able to provide for your family for generations, like, that's what we do it for. So I've seen him work his butt off these last few years. He's gotten better. He listens, he learns, and he goes out there and just competes. I'm happy for him.
Brian Windhorst keeps track of who makes money and why. We have a how question, though. How was the signing received with the Team USA members, those who are on the Rockets?
Yeah, there was a lot of Rockets stuff going on here. Carmelo Anthony, arrived out of nowhere to see his new teammates, Eric Gordon and James Harden. Of course, it's not official yet, but they look like they're all going to be set up to be teammates. And while they were talking, over comes Gerson Rosas, who's the assistant general manager of the Rockets, to give them the news, except for the Woj bomb beat him to it. James Harden found out about it and was elated, very excited not only for the team, but also for Clint Capela, who got $90 million out of the deal. James, I think, knew it was close, but didn't know how much money it was going to be. And when I talked to him yesterday, Kenny, about the Rockets offseason, which, to be frank, is a little bit shaky, he said, look, I'm okay with where we are, but we've got to get Clint re-signed. And so James Harden, who's in great shape here at Team USA, very happy that Capela is in the fold, and Carmelo likely will be soon.
Yeah, we shouldn't forget the Rockets were a Chris Paul not being injured away from beating the Warriors and maybe being the champion. Do they have any other moves left that can get them over it?
Well, here's the thing. The Rockets are always looking to make big moves. From what I've been told by sources, they are active in the trade market. Now, they're limited in what they can do because they don't want to trade away one of their prime pieces. They've been looking to trade Ryan Anderson for months now, and they're still dangling him out there and showing some willingness to take on long-term money to get off Ryan Anderson's money in the short term. So I never put anything away from Daryl Morey, but they have been talking to teams about adding defenders. They've got great offensive players. They just added, or they're going to add another good offensive player in Carmelo Anthony. Wouldn't surprise me if they make a move for a defensive player or two before training camp.
I feel like you were even better than usual being at a great institution of higher learning, UNLV.
You're a legend around here.
I try. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. By the way, Team USA practicing for an event which is 399 days away. But it's important. Russell Westbrook imitating James Harden's signature step back, only with a few more steps. At least one of those moves is to travel. The past two MVPs weren't the only two getting some bonding time in. Greg Popovich getting an early chance to coach his newest Spur, DeMar DeRozan. Yeah. Here's an example of this. There you see Pop, and there's already tremendous chemistry. Here's Pop on that developing relationship.
So much nonverbal.
Developing story.
How much do you feel like you can really just start building a relationship here with DeMar that you don't have to then wait?
That's what I'm doing. I don't know what you want me to say. He's here, I talk to him. That's the start of the relationship.
I mean, can he lighten up even for this? I mean, why so serious, Pop? As for the Toronto end of that trade, Kyle Lowry walking into practice with his buddy DeMar. Here's Lowry discussing that relationship with Kawhi.
Probably talk. I did. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I don't know.
You don't know if you spoke to him?
No.
What do you mean?
I don't know if I've spoken to him.
Are you not sure?
No, I'm not sure. No. He's not here, so I haven't spoken to him.
I mean, people could read you not want to talk about the trade as though you're not happy with the trade. Would that be inaccurate?
USAD is good fun, man. This guy. Good one.
Reporters trying to break stories. Paul George underwent a knee surgery on May 9th. He was back in action Friday. Amazing. Rough housing with former teammate Miles Turner. Check out George taking on some elite-level teammates. He'll hit the pull-up over Kevin Durant eventually. And more of the mastery of Paul George, a baseline turnaround over Devin Booker. Did we see that yet? George, are you paying attention?
This is hallowed ground.
All right. I mean, we are like dissecting these gym rats right now. Georgia fall away over Chris Middleton coming up. There we go. I like the little fonts with the names of the players.
Baseball update coming.
Too bad the people in the gym can't see that.
I like the 2 interviews we just had.
They were breaking news.
Provocative.
George thinks the turnaround over Oladipo. Forget him. George looked great there, healthy. That concludes the 2018 minicamp from Las Vegas for Team USA.
Baseball wild.
Now.
It's been 2 years since Kevin Durant left Oklahoma City for the Golden State Warriors. You may recall that he received plenty of criticism for that decision. But after back-to-back championships and back-to-back finals MVP awards, KD, I think he's okay with that decision. Recently, he was on a podcast hosted by Blazers guard CJ McCollum. Listen to what CJ said about the Warriors landing Boogie Cousins.
You know how I felt, bro. I was hot. I don't know if I was more mad than when you went to go. I think I was more mad.
Why are you mad about this stuff?
Bro, I'm in the league. What do you mean? Why am I mad about this?
I mean,
I'm in the Western Conference. I got to play you MFers all the time anyway, as it is, over and over again. We done got eliminated by y'all a few times in the first round. So I'm looking at Cuz.
I mean, you guys aren't going to win a championship.
Bro, we have the team. We have capabilities. Anything is possible. We can win a championship.
That's just cold.
Kevin was just laughing at that thought. And then on Twitter last night, things escalated after McCollum replied to a tweet using the word soft to describe Kevin Durant's decision to join Golden State 2 years ago. Durant responded by saying in part, you think that low of me, CJ? I just did your bleeping podcast. Snakes in the grass, boy, I tell ya. End quote. And then just this afternoon, KD was asked about it at Team USA's practice in Las Vegas. Here's Kevin Durant.
Was that all fun, or was it?
What you thought it was?
It seemed a little more serious.
Why?
Just because it seemed like you were upset.
Why me?
Because of what he had said when he answered that other tweet.
So why isn't he upset?
He doesn't seem to be upset now.
So why am I upset?
I don't know. I mean, I just thought when you put the...
You did his podcast.
And you got the effing podcast and the snake.
But so I'm the upset one because he responded to something I said.
Well, it seemed like he was almost saying something about you, and then you responded to that.
Yeah, but he didn't have to say something about it.
No.
Okay, so how am I upset?
He went first.
Exactly.
I understand you might be upset.
And he went first.
So CJ's not upset, but I am. Got something to say. Don't get mad because I say something, and then you catch feelings. I call you out on it, and I'm insecure, and all these everybody running with it. Now people come to me like, damn man, I didn't know you were so cool when they meet me in person. Why? Because what y'all say. That goes for everybody around here. Y'all say about them, they don't say nothing, and they just keep adding on. But I'm the one. I just talk. I say how I feel.
Hi, Brian Windhorst, live in Las Vegas for Team USA basketball minicamp. Brian joining us now live. Okay, first of all, Kevin did a great job flipping that interview on the reporter. Leave that alone. But he knew exactly what he was doing when he tweeted out that stuff last night. You tell me, how legitimate is this beef between KD and CJ?
KD, you mad, bro? I mean, what's going on here? We're not even talking about practice. At a practice, we're talking about tweets. He says he and CJ will be fine. They'll have a glass of red wine together later this summer. It's all ado about nothing. What he wasn't happy about, Sage, was the fact that people were making a big deal about it. He says that people in the media react to what he says on social media, and they make him look insecure. And I would say, Kevin, you're a two-time champ, two-time Finals MVP, regular season MVP. Stop worrying about what people say. Maybe you are insecure about it. But I will say this, if that's what we're talking about on USA minicamp day, I think his life's okay.
Yeah, I think so. But again, when he says, you know, hey, snakes in the grass, boy, he means exactly what he says. And of course, people are going to react. He's the two-time Finals MVP. Okay. To your point, a lot on the court going on, thank goodness. What were some of your big takeaways from today, Brian?
Yeah, I thought, we all forget that not only Paul George signed a big contract this summer, he also had knee surgery back in May, yet he was out on the court today looking great, Sage. He was doing full contact, moving all around the court, playing offense, playing defense. I thought Paul George was maybe one of the highlights on the court today, and definitely a good sign for the Thunder. Also out there today, the MVP, James Harden, looking very trim and very aggressive. He told us that he hasn't been able to stop thinking about Game 7, and he's been practicing and working out almost every day since that terrible loss to the Warriors where he struggled so badly, and it shows he is in great shape. Also, he said he's been communicating with Carmelo Anthony on a regular basis, expects him to sign in the next few days. Now, also, Kyrie Irving was not on the court today, Sage, but very good news from him. He has been cleared after those two knee surgeries in the spring that knocked him out of the playoffs. He's been cleared for basketball activities. He's doing one-on-one drills again, and is on track indeed to play with the Celtics at the start of training camp. So very good news on the Kyrie Irving front for the Celtics from Team USA.
All right, Brian Windhorst with the very latest from Las Vegas. You behave out there, Wendy.